I booked the cabin because I needed to get away. Life had been suffocating me lately. Work deadlines, relationship drama, the constant noise of the city pressing down on my chest like a weight I couldn't shake off. The listing promised solitude. A remote retreat nestled deep in the woods, perfect for reflection and relaxation. It sounded exactly like what I needed. What I didn't expect was that the solitude wouldn't be mine alone. The drive up was long but peaceful, winding through dense forests until the GPS lost signal, and I had to rely on handwritten directions from the host. By the time I arrived, twilight was settling over the trees, casting long shadows across the clearing where the cabin stood. It was smaller than I'd imagined, with peeling paint and a sagging porch, but it had charm. Quaint, rustic, isolated. Perfect. Inside, the air smelled faintly of pine and damp earth. The furniture was sparse, a creaky wooden table, 2 mismatched chairs, and a single bed pushed against the far wall. There was no television, no Wi-Fi, just an old radio sitting on the kitchen counter. I unpacked quickly, eager to settle in before full darkness fell. That's when I noticed it, the whispering. At first, I thought it was outside, the wind rustling through the trees, or maybe animals scurrying around in the underbrush. But as I moved closer to the source of the sound, I realized it was coming from inside the cabin. Faint voices, barely audible, drifting through the thin walls. They seemed to be coming from the other side of the room, near the bed. "Hello?" I called out, my voice echoing awkwardly in the empty space. No response. Just the low murmur of conversation continuing uninterrupted. My heart began to race. Who could possibly be here? The host assured me the place was private. I was the only guest. I crept toward the bed, straining to make out the words. At first, they were indistinct, fragmented phrases spoken in tones too soft to decipher. Then, suddenly, clarity pierced through the haze. "You're not supposed to be here," one voice said, sharp and accusatory. A woman's voice. "He doesn't belong," another replied, this one deeper, colder. Male. My breath hitched. I spun around, searching for the speakers, but the room was empty. The bed was unmade, the sheets rumpled as if someone had been lying there moments ago, yet no one was visible. My pulse thundered in my ears, drowning out everything else. "They know about you," the male voice continued, louder now, more insistent. "They know what you did." "What are you talking about?" I shouted, my voice cracking. My knees felt weak and I stumbled backward, bracing myself against the wall. "Who's there?" There was no answer, just silence so heavy, it pressed against my skin like a physical force. For a moment, I convinced myself I'd imagined it all. Stress-induced paranoia, exhaustion playing tricks on my mind. But then, the whispers started again, closer this time, almost directly behind me. "They'll come for you soon," the woman whispered, her tone dripping with malice. "You can't hide forever." I whirled around, my hands trembling violently. Still nothing. No one. Yet the voices were undeniable, wrapping around me like icy tendrils, pulling me deeper into panic. I grabbed my phone, fumbling to call the host, but the screen displayed 0 bars of service. Of course, desperate, I opened the Airbnb app to double-check the listing details. That's when I saw it, or rather, what I didn't see. The description clearly stated, "Sleeps 2, accompanied by photos of a second bedroom with twin beds." But there was no second bedroom in the cabin, only the one room I stood in now, with its single bed and oppressive atmosphere. My stomach churned. Was I in the wrong place? Had I misread the address? I checked the confirmation email, comparing it to the handwritten directions the host had sent. Everything matched. This was the right cabin. So why did the listing lie? And then it hit me, the realization slamming into me like a freight train. Someone else was staying here. Someone who wasn't supposed to be here either. Squatters? Thieves? Or worse, people who knew I was coming. Panic surged through me, raw and primal. I grabbed my bag, stuffing my belongings haphazardly into it while the voices grew louder, overlapping in a cacophony of accusations and threats. "She knows," the man hissed. "She sees you. "Run," the woman sneered. "But it won't save you." I bolted for the door, yanking it open and stumbling onto the porch. The cold night air bit at my face, but I barely registered it. My car was parked 20 feet away, taillights glowing dimly in the dark. I ran, keys jangling in my shaking hand, and threw myself into the driver's seat. The engine roared to life, and I peeled out of the driveway, gravel spitting beneath the tires. As I sped down the winding road, I glanced in the rearview mirror and froze. Headlights appeared behind me, flickering on suddenly as if someone had been waiting in the shadows. They weren't close yet, but they were following me, steady and deliberate. My hands tightened on the wheel, knuckles white. I pressed harder on the gas, weaving recklessly around sharp turns as the headlights stayed glued to my bumper. Every time I glanced back, they were still there, gaining ground slowly but surely. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, I reached the main road. Civilization loomed ahead, a gas station sign glowing faintly in the distance. I pulled into the lot, tires squealing, and jumped out of the car, scanning frantically for the vehicle that had been chasing me. But the road behind me was empty. No headlights, no car, nothing. I stood there, chest heaving, trying to calm my racing heart. Had I imagined it? Was I losing my mind? But then I noticed something on the passenger seat of my car, a crumpled piece of paper I hadn't left there before. I picked it up with trembling fingers and unfolded it. Written in jagged handwriting were 3 words: "We're still watching." To this day, I don't know who was in that cabin or who followed me down that road. All I know is that I'll never book another Airbnb alone again. Some places aren't meant to be shared.
I booked an Airbnb in a quiet, upscale neighborhood for a quick weekend getaway. It was a modern townhouse, minimalist, spotless, and eerily quiet. The kind of place you'd expect to feel safe in. I arrived late, just past 10 p.m., and let myself in with the keypad code the host had sent me. I double-checked the lock before heading upstairs, tossing my bag on the bed. The place was nice, almost too perfect, like no one had ever actually lived there. No personal touches, no family photos, just white walls, sleek furniture, and that subtle, antiseptic smell of a place that's been professionally cleaned. I was exhausted, so I brushed my teeth, locked my bedroom door out of habit, and climbed into bed. I don't know how long I had been asleep when my phone buzzed on the nightstand. The screen lit up. Unknown caller. "Groggy," I answered. "Hello." A calm male voice responded. "Hello. This is Airbnb security. There's been a break-in reported in your area, and we need you to remain inside with the doors locked." I sat up. "Wait, what? A break-in where?" "Nearby," he said smoothly. "For your safety, please stay inside and do not attempt to leave. Keep all doors locked. Do you have any guests with you?" "No, I'm alone," I said before I could stop myself. The moment the words left my mouth, something in my brain screamed at me. I hadn't told anyone I was staying here alone. There was a pause. "Understood. We'll call back with updates. Stay put." Click. I stared at my phone. The call hadn't come from the Airbnb app, just a random, unknown number. I opened the Airbnb messages and typed out a quick note to my host. "Hey, just got a weird call from Airbnb security about a break-in. Do you know anything about this?" I sat there, phone in hand, waiting for a response. The little message read checkmark never appeared. Something felt wrong. I got out of bed, heart pounding, and crept to the bedroom door, pressing my ear against it. I listened. Silence. Just the soft hum of the fridge downstairs. Still, I couldn't shake the unease. I went to check the front door, just to be sure. The deadbolt was still locked, but the keypad lock had been disabled. I hadn't touched it. My stomach dropped. I pressed the lock button. The keypad lit up, but instead of locking, it blinked error in red. I tried again. Error. The lock code had been reset. Someone had remote access. My hands went clammy. I stepped back from the door and grabbed my phone, dialing 911. The call connected. 911, what's your emergency? I opened my mouth, but then the doorknob rattled. Someone was outside, testing the lock. I backed away, one hand clamped over my mouth. The operator's voice crackled in my ear. Hello? Can you hear me? A soft knock on the door. Then a voice. The same voice from the phone call. Ma'am, this is Airbnb security. We need to come inside for your safety. The 911 operator was still talking, but I couldn't process her words. My ears were filled with the sound of my own heartbeat. I turned and sprinted up the stairs. The knocking stopped, then footsteps. Slow, measured, moving around the perimeter of the house. I reached my bedroom and locked the door, pressed my back against it. Then, another sound. The soft, mechanical whir of the back sliding door opening. He was inside. I stumbled backward, looking for something. Anything I could use as a weapon. My suitcase. A lamp. Nothing felt useful. Then, I saw it. The attic hatch in the ceiling. I had no other choice. I grabbed a chair, dragged it under the hatch as quietly as I could, and climbed up. The attic was stiflingly hot, the air thick with insulation dust. I pulled the hatch shut, just as I heard footsteps on the stairs. A shadow moved under the crack of my bedroom door. Then, the handle turned. Click. He had a key. I slapped a hand over my mouth to keep from screaming. The door creaked open. Heavy, deliberate footsteps crossed the room. I could hear him breathing. Slow, patient. A floorboard creaked directly beneath me. He was standing right under the attic hatch. I squeezed my eyes shut, willing myself not to move, not to breathe. Sweat trickled down my spine. Then, a beep. A phone. His phone. He answered it in a low voice. Yeah, she's here. A pause. Attic. I nearly vomited. Then, in a chillingly casual tone, he said, No rush. She's got nowhere to go. I didn't think. I lunged for the attic vent, punched it out, and squeezed through, dropping 2 stories onto the lawn. My ankle twisted on impact, but I didn't stop. I ran barefoot, adrenaline drowning out the pain, sprinting toward the nearest streetlight. Behind me, the house remained eerily quiet. No one chased me. By the time the cops arrived, the Airbnb was empty, spotless. The only sign that anyone had ever been there was my open suitcase in the bedroom. The back door was locked again. The keypad was working, reset to a new code. The listing was deleted the next morning. Airbnb had no record of a security team ever making calls to guests. And the police? They said there were no reports of a break-in in the area that night. I still don't know how he got my number, or how he knew I was alone. But someone, somewhere, knew exactly what they were doing. And they almost got me.
I picked the Airbnb because it looked normal. That sounds weird, but after years of sketchy rentals, places with broken locks, weird smells, or hosts who forgot to mention the construction next door, I just wanted something boring. This place was perfect. A small guest house behind a larger suburban home with its own entrance. Clean, modern, and cheap. It had good reviews, and the host, Lisa, had a verified profile. When I arrived, Lisa wasn't there, but she sent me a message with the key code. Welcome, Kate. Make yourself at home. Let me know if you need anything. I let myself in. It was cute, small, but exactly like the pictures. A single bedroom, an open concept living area, and a compact kitchen. The bathroom was down a short hallway. As I tossed my suitcase on the bed, I noticed something odd. There were 2 closets in the bedroom. One was a normal sliding door closet with hangers and extra blankets inside. The other was smaller, with a single locked door. That felt weird. Airbnbs usually had storage closets, but this wasn't in the hallway or kitchen, it was inside the bedroom. Checked the listing again, but there was no mention of a locked closet. I texted Lisa, Hey, just got here. Quick question, is the small closet in the bedroom for storage? Lisa replied, Hey Kate, yes, just some cleaning supplies. Please don't worry about it, enjoy your stay. With a smiley face. Something about that smiley face put me on edge. But I brushed it off. The first night, I was exhausted, so I went to bed early. Somewhere in the middle of the night, I woke up. At first, I didn't know why. Then, in the dark, I heard it. A soft rustling sound. I lay still, heart hammering. The sound was faint, like fabric shifting. I reached for my phone, turned on the flashlight, and scanned the room. Nothing. I was probably imagining it. But just as I started to relax, my eyes flicked to the locked closet, and I swear, I saw the door move, just the tiniest shift. A slow, almost imperceptible pull inward, like it had just been gently closed. I sat up, heart pounding. The door was still locked, wasn't it? I climbed out of bed, walked over, and tried the handle. It didn't budge. I backed away, my pulse racing. I told myself it was fine, but I kept the light on for the rest of the night. The next morning, I tried to forget about it. I went out, explored the city, and told myself I'd been half asleep and imagining things. But when I got back that evening, something wasn't right. My suitcase was open. I was sure I had left it zipped. I checked my Airbnb messages, thinking maybe Lisa had sent someone in to clean. But there was nothing. Still, I convinced myself I was overthinking it. I locked the front door, made dinner, and got ready for bed. Around midnight, I woke up again. Not to a sound, to a feeling. The feeling of being watched. I lay there, frozen. The room was silent. But the air felt thick, like someone else was breathing in it. And then, I heard a soft tap. From inside the closet, I stopped breathing. It was quiet. So quiet I almost doubted I heard it. And then I heard tap, tap, tap. 3 slow, deliberate knocks. From inside the locked closet. I scrambled backward, pressing myself against the headboard, my whole body trembling. My mind was screaming at me to run, but I couldn't move. Then, just as suddenly as it started, silence. I stared at the closet, barely breathing. My phone was on the nightstand, but I didn't dare move to grab it. I waited. Minutes passed. Then the door handle rattled. I sprinted out of the room. I locked myself in the bathroom and texted Lisa, my fingers shaking. I wrote, "Someone is in the closet." She replied, "Don't be scared." What the hell? I called 911. As I whispered to the operator, I heard my bedroom door creak open. Not the closet, my bedroom door. Whoever was in there was coming out. I pressed my hand over my mouth, trying not to make a sound. The bathroom didn't have a lock. I kept pressure against the door, bracing my weight against it. Outside, I heard soft footsteps, getting closer. Then, a voice. A low whisper right outside the bathroom door. "Why did you lock the door, Kate?" I lost it. I threw my full weight against the door and ran for the front entrance. The lock took me 3 tries because my hands were shaking so bad. As I yanked the door open, I heard rapid footsteps behind me. I didn't look back. I ran into the street, straight into the arriving police officers. The police searched the house. They found a false panel inside the closet, leading to a hidden crawl space. Inside, they found a thin mattress, crumpled food wrappers, empty water bottles, and a small notebook. Inside were notes about me. The way I brushed my hair, how I looked when I slept, the times I left and came back. They had been in there the entire time. Lisa? She wasn't the owner. She had rented the Airbnb, too. The real owner? An older man. One who never showed his face. And worse, the police found multiple listings under different names, all for the same property. Meaning I wasn't the first, and I wouldn't have been the last.